Good morning on Friday the 15th of May from a cloudy but warm Northumberland weather report over. The next bit is a bit anarchy, a bit nerdy, so you can always fast forward for a couple of minutes. But I want to talk to you about the scheme of readings we use, and because it's relevant. I promise you, it's relevant. We use a scheme, or I use a scheme of readings that is ecumenically agreed. The Roman Catholic Church, the Anglican Church, and other Christian churches, English-speaking Christian churches, use the same set of readings. It's one of 4 sets of readings that the Church of England produces for each day. Quite simply, if we followed them all, that would be quite a long service. But this scheme gives us either an Old Testament or a New Testament reading and a Gospel and a Psalm for each morning or afternoon or evening, whenever you choose to use it, of the day. And as I said, it's ecumenically agreed. And it runs in sequence. And during Easter, we've been reading Acts of the Apostles alongside the Gospel, and it's mainly been St. John's Gospel. Okay, that runs on. Not every bit, but bit by bit, making progress. But then you get a day like yesterday, St. Matthias Day, when we put in different readings because they're particular to his day. And that leads to anomalies, and we've got an anomaly today. The first anomaly is that the Gospel reading, the reading from St. John, is almost exactly the same reading as yesterday. No matter in that, it's a very good reading, and the things it said about love are worth hearing again. Think about that as you read it. But the other anomaly is that we then miss a bit of the Acts of the Apostles. We've got to this bit in Acts around chapter 15 where a big decision is being faced by the church. Peter and later Paul and Barnabas have gone on off and shared the faith with people who are not Jewish. So people who don't come from a Jewish tradition have become Christians. And this causes a bit of a row because some people within Christianity believe that you first have to be a Jew before you can be a Christian. They think of Christianity as a sort of sect of Judaism. And they try to impose their will on other people. So saying that if a person converts, they should become a Jew first and then a Christian. And Paul and Barnabas and the people in Antioch just don't agree with this. And when some people come from Jerusalem to Antioch and say, this is how you should, there's a bit of a row. And Paul and Barnabas are sent off to Jerusalem to sort it out. And the bit we missed out yesterday is the discussion. But it's an important one, and this is why it's where I'm going over all this. Because what happens in the early part of Acts chapter 15 dramatically affects the future. Because the council, the gathering in Jerusalem of the church and its leaders, makes a very important decision. And the decision is, you don't have to be a Jew before you can be a Christian. That's important, particularly for most of you who will be listening to me. It says that the gospel is for all nationalities, for English people who are non-Jewish, for French people, for German people, for American people, for Chinese people, for Persian people. I know there are Iranian people who watch these videos, and I've worked a lot with people from an Iranian culture who come to faith. And what Acts 15 is saying is, the faith is for everyone. Christianity is for everyone. And everyone is welcome. And that's very important because we have a nasty human tendency to think that the gospel is for people like us, people like me, people like you. But in fact, the gospel is for everyone. We need to be an inclusive church. A church that invites anybody, wherever they are, whatever they are, to follow Jesus. and to let Jesus live in their hearts, abide in Jesus, and Jesus to abide in them, going back to the gospel. So we give thanks for this decision in the Acts of the Apostles, the first Christian council, the first church council you might call it, which says the gospel is for everyone. Rowan Williams, the former Archbishop of Canterbury, I think it was him anyway, said that what Jesus did, he was talking about Jesus going into the temple and turning over the tables of the money changers. What Jesus did is he broke down barriers. The tendency of the church has always been to build up barriers again, but it has to be resisted, because Jesus came that all may have life, all may have abundant life. He didn't live and die and rise again for a few people. He lived and died and rose again so that all people might know his love. God bless us today.